You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Hello. Once again, it's the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to your favorite, probably not, favorite-ish, can we say that? Wrestling podcast with the jabronis that just pretty much yuck the whole time about the wrestles. And, it's fun. So why don't you do yourself a favor and give a listen? Before we kick off this show, I do want to bring you a nice little segment that I call Ransom's Stupidity of Humanity. And this little segment kicks off with a moment that I had today. I was driving and I came up behind a minivan, and in the back window of this minivan was a big vinyl decal that said, "Yo, just wear your effing mask." Now, that in and of itself, why would you say, Ransom? Why is that stupid? It's not. The stupidity comes into play when I passed said minivan on a legally passing road, mind you. I wasn't just, swerving around like a raging lunatic, as you might think is customary. I can't fault you for that. But when I passed said minivan, the driver of said minivan was, and I shit you not, holding a hamburger in one hand, holding his phone, texting in the other hand, and driving with his elbows. The stupidity here, folks, comes into play as chastising a group of people for potentially putting other people at risk by their behavior, while said person driving the minivan was potentially putting other people at risk by texting, eating, and driving with their elbows. Does stupidity know no bounds? It's a great question, a question we may or may not answer. But fortunately for you, I don't have time to suffer fools, so I'm not going to suffer this conversation any longer. And speaking of fools, that's right, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We've got Beef the Legend, Poop the Bard, the Cruiserweight Champion himself, Tiger Bomb Tom. I am Ransom the Madman, and before we get into our customary wrestling chat, we have a little bit of housekeeping that we need to get through. Beef, would you like to tell everybody what this housekeeping is?
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room up front. So we've had internal discussions as to how to play our hand here with the Bob Gray situation. For those of you that are our Anchor, Spotify, YouTube exclusive, you may not know about Bob Gray, a.k.a. the Chaos Jester, a.k.a. whatever the hell else he wants us to call him.
A.k.a. Dr. Spooky, a.k.a. your sister's ass, whatever.
Okay.
So this guy...
Your sister's ass.
Whatever fucking moniker of the week.
This guy likes to post pictures and videos on our Facebook page, being all spoopy, wearing a wannabe Sting mask in black and white with a higher pitched voice than me.
Oh,
We didn't think it was. I didn't think that was possible till today.
It's an achievement, really.
Being all spoopy and condescending and mysterious and downright infuriating.
oh my.
So this Chaos Jester,
There's no such thing as
this-
mysterious.
collector, as he referred to himself in the most recent and yet intriguing video, he fucking challenged us to put up the Cruiserweight title against him in a battle of picks. So that's where we are, and we're a split house. We're a split house.
We have a civil war going on here.
We do.
We have an absolute civil war.
No surprise that Ransom and Beef are on the same side.
No surprise.
I'd say that is a little bit of surprise.
That is kind of a surprise.
No, if people know us, there's no surprise.
No.
Oh, all right,
Our bonds go deeper than the fucking core of the planet.
And in true surprise, myself and the champ are on the other side of the fence of this.
Myself don't feel like that's a surprise.
I kind of do. just because I have been the one who's been lambasting the retention of your championship, which, to be fair,
To be fair.
You would think that I'd be like all about like, yep, anyone but Tom, but in this case, I'm on the champ's side. So the champ has you can just call me Underoos. I would come swinging in and
Nice reference.
Thank you.
So what you're hearing right now, our Darren Loyal fan base, is a real-time discussion as we are filming this episode live to tape, taking up valuable WrestleMania airwaves while we try to figure out what the fuck we want to do. Here's the thing, and I'm not gonna put my ace in the hole just yet, but here's the thing. When you're called out, you fucking rise to the challenge. Why the fuck do you think we've been doing Stump the Champs for like 60 weeks or whatever the hell it's been? Like, why do you think that we put our asses on the line every week? Because we know we fucking got this. Boys, it's WrestleMania season. I don't know if you know me. I know you know me. WrestleMania is my fucking lifeblood. I fucking breathe and sleep and mainline WrestleMania into my veins in March and April.
Brother.
I will personally guarantee the safety and security of that Cruiserweight Championship on
Never go full
Megaton's shoulder
power,
right here. So all I'm saying is, if there were a time that we were going to put pride and ego out, this is it.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and be the mediator here, and I'm gonna say, well put, good opening statement by B, fair argument. Next, I would like to hear from Poot. Poot, give me your thoughts on this situation.
I will not be
fantastic.
I will not be. I'm sorry. I've had a day. Almost used my once a year today, boys. It was close.
No.
Yeah, it was a close call. And it was a very rude way to wake up from a nap. But I blame my body. It's stupid and dumb, and I hate it. So I will not. My thing was, I will not be bullied by someone who pitch shifts their voice to hell and sounds like Dime Store Ultron. I will not be bullied by someone who refuses to acknowledge who they are and guarantee in some epic fashion after they take that belt reveal who they are. And yes, I have my suspicions, as we all do. And the Cruiserweight Championship, that's an in-house thing. I feel like the prizes that we offer for Stump the Champs / Stump the Chumps is good, as we showed with that bastard Pat. When he came on, we had a wonderful time. It was a great episode. He had some very salient points, and we were all very affable, and it was a good time, and it was nice to interact with our listeners. And that is my point. There has to be a delineation. Cruiserweight Championship at this point is its own thing. It's between the four of us. That's the thing that keeps us competitive within ourselves. I say we leave it in-house, we leave it to us, and we have the goal of being able to come on the podcast and discuss be the thing. Now here is where it lies. He could go ahead and we could have him in on picks if you want, but the prize is the Chaos Jester or whatever the dicks. Your sister's ass is still sticking with me. I think we should have that be your sister's ass, Bob Gray. I
you can thank Bully Ray for that one. I don't know where he took it from, but you can thank him for it.
I say we keep that in house. I will not have it be a something that is pulled from us and blustered into. I won't do that. And I think that's
I want
why
to volley something real quick, Pooch.
No,
You quick interrupt.
wait.
Hold on.
Okay,
No, this
all
is
right.
this is important.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on. You shut the fuck
Okay.
up because this involves you directly.
Okay, no, go ahead.
All right.
This was a 3-man show when we first started, and we started defending with Tiger Bomb Tom, who, yes, was a sponsor, and yes, is a full-fledged member of the P3 crew right now. But when we started defending against him, at best, he was a guest spot.
He was a consistent guest spot. He
All
was
the same.
he was
I'm
very
just-
Guest spot for
consistent.
four or 5 weeks in a fucking row.
And Bob Gray has been consistently posting videos 4 to 5 weeks in a row.
So
I'm
let's
just
bring
saying.
Bob Gray on the podcast then. Make him the honorary 5th member. Fuck it. Who
Listen,
cares?
I'm just using that logic that Poot had against him. That's all I'm saying.
I
Just
know.
because that logic is going to come back to bite somebody in the ass.
Listen,
Just
Okay,
wait.
now, hold on. Listen. Shh. We've heard from Beef. We've heard from Poot. I would like to hear from Tom.
I would like to hear from Ransom.
No.
Because you're on the side of Beef. I feel it's fair to go one side, the other side, one side, the other side.
Okay, if that's how you want to do it, then that's how we'll do it.
I feel that's fair.
Fair enough. So my argument, oddly enough, well, maybe not so oddly enough, and this is spooky, and I hate you, Beef. You are really the worst. My argument is the same as Beef's. We have said amongst ourselves many a time, if this podcast turns out to be nothing more than a handful of people that watch/listen, and the 4 of us entertaining each other, we're happy. That's great. If it's just the 4 of us getting together once a week to talk wrestling, and that's all that comes with this podcast, I'm perfectly content and happy. That's fantastic. If, however, we can grow a fan base, grow a listener base, become a more widely known podcast, kudos to that too. That's a bonus. That's a bonus for us on top of being able to get together, shoot the shit, enjoy some bro time, talk wrestling. I don't think we've ever said, hey, you know what? Let's just keep it with the 4 of us. We don't need to grow our listener base. It doesn't matter who listens. It doesn't matter if we have any fan interaction. We don't want or need any of that. I don't think we've ever said that. We're content with the 4 of us, but if we expand, all the better. My argument to this is a person who wants to be involved in the podcast. He obviously listens because he obviously knows us. He has said quite a few things in his videos that prove that he's not just a dude that's like, hey, I came upon this podcast, I listened to 1 or maybe 2 episodes, and now I'm going to try some shenanigans and I'm going to try to fuck with them. Because you wouldn't get the knowledge that he has about the 4 of us by just listening to a couple shows. So it's clear that he's a fan. It's clear that he enjoys this podcast. If we have people that want to be more involved in this show, I feel like that's going to do more to grow our listener base. It's going to do more to promote us as a podcast. It's going to get our name out there a little bit more. Because if this person says, hey, guess what? I challenged the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast for their Cruiserweight Championship, and I won it. Look, I'm the P3 champion. Someone's going to say, what's the P3? Oh, it's this wrestling podcast that I listened to. I sent them some videos. I challenged them for the title, and they let me challenge, and now I won it. How cool is that? Yes, it's a fake, quote-unquote, fake wrestling podcast title. Sure, but in the grand scheme of things, isn't wrestling just a male soap opera? It is real physicality. People do really get hurt, and people do make a whole lot of money, yes. But it is a predetermined event. You can argue the validity of their championships all the livelong day, but when compared to other sports, the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, Intercontinental, the list goes on, they're all fake wrestling titles because they're awarded to somebody because that company thinks that that person they're going to give the belt to can make them money. Yes, they perform well, but at the end of the day, no one is legitimately beating anybody for a title. It's not UFC, it's not boxing. I've heard conspiracies on whether or not those things are legit or not. But in any case, the argument can be made that the WWE Championship is a fake title too, because nobody legitimately beats anybody for that title unless there's a screw job involved. And to move on to Beef's point, I'll wrap up this diatribe right here. When we created the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast, it did start out with Beef and Poot and Ransom. Tom had sent in some questions. Tom had made some points. Tom began to talk to us. He asked if he could be a sponsor. He could promote our show on his streams, things like that. All very nice things to do. As we talked more with him, we realized that we have a lot in common with Tom. He has a good knowledge base of wrestling, interacted well with us. We had him on for a few guest spots. Those guest spots turned into a full-fledged membership. We extended an offer. He signed on with Team P3. No other podcast snagged him up. We snagged him up. I would say that that's a very good get for us. It has worked out very well. We have a great friendship amongst the four of us. It's blossomed very, very well, and I'm extremely happy with it. I'm very happy that had happened. But if Beef and Poot and I had the mindset of, this is our show, you want to be on a podcast and talk about wrestling? Go make your own podcast. Go do your own show. Go do your own thing. We would not have a foursome that we have today. I don't think we would have, we would have fun, yes. But I don't think we would have as much fun. We definitely wouldn't have the bond of brotherhood that the four of us share together. So by going out on that limb and saying, hey, let's bring in a person who wasn't one of the original three, bring them onto the show, have it turn out as well as it did. If we hadn't have, not risked it, but if we hadn't have gone out on that limb or tried something new, the show that you have now wouldn't exist. So my argument is, we branched out. We took a shot at doing something different than what was just the three of us. And my own personal opinion, that turned out very, very well. So not only is this an opportunity to grow the fan base, maybe this is an opportunity to begin to interact with somebody who shares a love of wrestling like we do. Maybe it's an opportunity for us to not bring on a fifth person and expand the podcast. I'm not saying that that's what we do, but maybe we have the opportunity to expand our brotherhood, our friendships, our love of wrestling to people who want to interact with us. I think that that is a good thing, that people want to interact with us. And this dude clearly has a mind for wrestling, because look at some of the videos he sent. Good Lord, they could be wrestling vignettes. Coming soon, Chaos Jester coming soon, whatever. They're promos. They're essentially wrestling promos that he's doing. So at the end of the day, yes, the Cruiserweight Championship has traditionally been amongst the four of us, but is it really going to behoove us to say, it's ours, go do your own thing, we don't want you to be part of this, we don't want to interact with you, we don't want to expand ourselves? I feel like we're closing the door on an opportunity. That's my piece.
All right, so in the same vein of what Poot said, I'm going to add on to it and kind of use your own argument against you, because that's what you do in a debate. So yes, we are we're a fake wrestling podcast with a fake title. But even the fakest of titles in the WWE have a prestige, and they're guarded and they're protected to a certain extent. My fear is that we don't want to WCW this thing and David Arquette the whole situation, which, by the way, he has over the years redeemed himself over for, because he was put into a position that he didn't really have control over, but that's neither here nor there.
I said before, go watch You Can't Kill David Arquette. It's
exactly.
really good.
Yeah. But there's still a prestige and something protected about our fake title amongst the four of us. And I like that. And I like that tradition. Now, yes, you did bring me on in the beginning, and if you guys had told me, you know what, no, we want to keep this as a 3-man crew, and if you want to come on, we'll bring you on as a guest every so often, that would have been perfectly okay, because my sponsorship was basically helping an old friend and 2 friends that I didn't realize were going to be as good of friends to me as you guys are now. Just helping you guys out because I saw the chemistry between 2 very good friends in Poot and Beef, talking about their love for wrestling, and the fact that we all had a love for wrestling. I said, let's nurture this thing. I'll plug you guys. I'll do whatever. And it was never an intention to invade in on it or anything like that. But I gladly accepted the position that was offered to me, because I get to talk wrestling with friends, and it's a good time. It is. So, in that vein, I have come up with a compromise that has been met with very much disdain by the legendary letdown himself, Beef.
Oh.
And I'll put it out there for the general public again. And Bob Grays, I'm sure he's going to listen to this episode whenever it airs, the Alvin and the Chipmunks wannabe son of a bitch that he is, with his latest video. I propose that we have another title, one that is amongst the fan base, that they can compete for one another from all corners of the globe. Doesn't matter if they're listening from Japan to fucking Saskatchewan to LA to North
Carolina.
I was going to say North Dakota, but you know. Anyways, but that could be something, and we could advertise their picks on the show on some other segment or something like that. You know, we can do that. We can put their picks. We could put their picks up and put it up as a post on our Facebook or something like that, and let everybody know where they all stand. We can create that community. We can foster that growth, but we can also protect the Cruiserweight Championship at the same time. That was my proposal, but
so let me just, I just want to retort real quick on that about the 2 title thing. How many times have we on this show complained about the constant back and forth of the WWE Championship between just a couple people? John Cena to Batista, or to Randy Orton, to Triple H, back and forth and back and forth. Always the same people competing for the title, always the same people winning the title. We complained a lot about that ourselves. So I feel like it's a little bit of a disservice on our part to say we complain about it when WWE does it, but it's okay for us to do. Us to say, hey, it's just going to bounce around between the 4 of us. It's just always going to be the 4 of us competing for it. We got tired of seeing that on actual wrestling shows. So, I don't know. I feel like for us to do that and be okay with it, we're teetering on a difficult edge here.
Well, not only that, but to extend on Ransom's point, we've griped. This ain't SmackDown, bro. Bro, I'm channeling Vince Russo. Bro, this ain't SmackDown. We're not going to introduce a new fucking title every 3 months. No. The Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast has 1 title. And yes, when we do Stump the Champs or Chumps, we are all collectively the champs or the chumps. But there is 1 crown jewel of the P3. And that is the Cruiserweight Championship.
I do have
the second title. You are not protecting the legacy belt. You are devaluing it.
So here's one gripe that I had, and I don't know. I don't know who. I know Beef came in, and I don't know if he went back and watched the whole thing or not. I don't know if Ransom got a chance to watch my video today that I responded to Bob Gray or not. Did you?
I caught like a minute or two.
Okay. So there's two things that I had to a bone to pick with you. The title. Now, while you're not completely wrong about the title going back and forth between the same four people, let's keep in mind we're not the WWE. We only have a 4-man roster, not a 40. So there's a big difference there. Number one. So that's comparing apples to oranges. Number two. The championship is not just bounced back and forth between Poot and I. And that, while that may be you making an exaggeration, I hope you do realize that we've all held it roughly the same number of times, like 2 or 3 times
yes.
apiece.
It was an exaggeration.
Okay.
I legitimately know that we have all held the title at some point. Yes.
All right, listen, I'm gonna intervene real quick here because we've already spent way too much time on this. I have a timer on my phone for 5 minutes. We're going to go for 5 minutes more on this topic because I think we've all had a fair shake at it. We're going to go for 5 minutes. At the end of it, whatever is out there is out there, okay?
Here's the only other thing that I have to say on it. And this is my last speaking piece because I've spoke my piece in post response to Bob Gray and video response.
I'll do it after your response. Go ahead.
Here's my last response, and then I'll go with whatever the group consensus is because that's what we do. God damn it! I lost my train of thought when Beef interrupted.
I'll tell you what. Get back to it. I only have one more thing to say.
Go ahead.
Bob Gray, and first of all, Beef, pride goeth before the fall. I've said this before. I understand Mania is your season, and you know Mania better than everybody. But the fact that you're saying that you're going to guarantee that it stays in the P3 ecosystem is a full statement. I love you to death, buddy, and I know of any 4 of us who can. 100%, if we had to choose one of us to go up against Bob Gray, it would be you to win. I will say that bar none. However, the Cruiserweight Championship gets out into the ether with Bob Gray. If it goes out there into the ether, then I'm kind of like, okay, now we either have to win it back, and it would be cool to have other people competing for this, but then all of a sudden it's out there in the ecosystem. How do you determine ties? How do you determine who goes over? How do you determine this? How do you determine that? If you have numerous people competing for this, you have to get into a very complex way of determining who wins. And then the more people that come in, which on Ransom's point would be really cool to have a growing fan base. I will give you credit there, Ransom. But then it's gone. What do we do if we want to have another belt? Do we just mint another belt, have it between the 4 of us, and then have people and all of a sudden we're just tossing belts out left and right? Like what happens then? Or do we send it out into the world and go, look what we've created and be proud of? And people like it and people want it.
And may I remind you that I'm the longest reigning 10-wall hardcore champion of all time. I know a thing or two about titles. All right, timer starts now.
Okay. So now
I remember. Damn.
Okay, go ahead, Pop. Go ahead, Tom. I'm gonna pause. Go ahead.
All right. So now that you can put it as the 5 minute. I don't care. Here was my thing. Here's my thing that I wanted to put out there was the logistic thing, like Poot was saying. There's that. The second thing is, let's not forget how this all started. Is that somebody in house amongst the 4 of us gave access to somebody else to either they shared their video and uploaded it. They either uploaded Bob Gray's video onto our YouTube, or they gave Bob Gray access to our YouTube.
Which, by the way, I'm still not thrilled about. And also, I have you go ahead, Tom. Keep going.
That's okay. That and this kind of almost ties in perfectly with the Civil War because, real talk here. Poot is like myself in the fact that he's like, I protect my passwords very, very carefully, and I trust that whenever this whole thing started. So I don't know who to trust between Beef or Ransom, because either Beef has this master plan to try to get back his title that he thinks he so well deserves, or Ransom pulled a fast one and kind of how he snuck in this Bob Gray thing. And I don't know which one is the more likely of the scenarios. And I have one question. Last WrestleMania with whenever I was kind of tuned out and the whole fucking the COVID Mania or whatever.
Yeah, 36.
Okay. Who was the Cruiserweight champion going into Mania picks?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen.
I'm assuming it was Poot.
I believe it was me.
Okay. Who was the champ coming out of it?
Don't know.
I have no idea.
I know I won it off the first Mania weekend. I think.
Yeah, but not that one, because that was and I will always remind Beef his shortest title reign defense ever.
One day. Yep.
One day. Always never ever gonna let you forget it,
Hey,
Beef. I love you, but
is-
never
Got
gonna
some
let
other
you forget
arguments to get through here.
But my point is, like Poot said, pride goeth before the fall. You may think Mania is your season, Beef, but don't count on it.
Okay, so yes, WWE has a far larger roster than we do, but if we don't allow ourselves to potentially say, hey, if other people want to challenge for the Cruiserweight Championship, go for it, we will never grow that roster and the opportunity for people to challenge for that title. If we deny it and say it's just the four of us, then yes, it'll always just be the four of us. We'll never defend it out. No one will ever have the chance to expand upon that. As far as the logistics go, I don't see the difference between 4 and 40. As far as the logistics go,
Agreed.
it's the same logistics as it is now. Champion prerogative. If somebody ties the champion, well, great, congratulations. You tied the champion, but you didn't beat the champion remains. If two people tie for the belt and beat the champion, those people become co-owners. 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. If 5 people all tie and all beat the champ, it gets a bit, Willy Wonka-ish, but at the same time, we're going to assume that we're going to have that many people vying for the title. If we do someday, I say good. The more people we get involved in this, the larger our listener base is, the bigger that we become, the more people we have talking about this show. All good things. But as far as the logistics go, I don't see any difference. You beat the champ, you're the champ. You don't beat the champ, you're not the champ. It seems easy peasy lemon squeezy to me.
All right, TikTok. The debate
I
is over.
apologize. Sorry, shit. I had one other thing to say.
Here's one thing. Okay, I'm gonna flip. So the clock is starting. Here's what I'm gonna float out. I think that we defend the title against him, but before we defend the title against him, we force him to unmask, give us his identity. We're protective of that title. He's protective of his gimmick. He drops the gimmick. We defend the title.
I'm there.
That was kind of that's what I was kind of going with when Bob said he's that we were that he was calling us out, saying we're hiding behind the four of us protecting this. He's hiding behind voice modulating and fucking stupid mask.
Yep.
And everything like that. So who's hiding what?
Oh, okay.
So my only caveat with that is wrestling itself, as well as this podcast, is all built around gimmicks. We don't use our real names on this show. We've done it before when we broke kayfabe, but you're Poot the Bard. That's not what's on your driver's license.
Hi, I'm
You're
Chuck
Pete
Bungo.
the Legend. Again, fine. You have no problem breaking it. That's not the point. The point is we all go by gimmick names. The point is wrestling is a gimmick in itself. This dude is completely embracing that full-on gimmick. I can't fault the guy for that. That's like saying, hey, this masked wrestler from Mexico, we want you to unmask and not call yourself El Chupacabra or whatever you call yourself. We want you to unmask and call yourself first name, last name.
You mean like Andrade Cien Almas?
All right.
Yes. How many people
you
have
have a
complained
point.
about that? Poot the Bard himself has complained that he wishes he would go back to his original Mexican gimmick. Again, wrestling based around gimmicks. Us on this podcast, based around gimmicks.
Okay.
That's,
Let's
asking somebody to drop a gimmick is counterproductive, I feel, to wrestling.
Okay.
Here's a compromise.
Listen,
Here's a
We're
compromise.
not all gimmicks, though.
Here's a compromise. Here's a
I'm
compromise.
Like,
Here's
straight
a
up
compromise.
Good.
He does not have to reveal himself to the general masses, but he does have to reveal himself to us. Fair enough?
I still don't see what that does.
Okay.
Yes, we find out who the dude is. If you've never heard of him before, What does that do for you? Nothing.
All right. I'm looking at the recording timer. We've gone over. I'll tell you what. Why don't we get to wrestling talk, and then before we end this, we'll come back and we will make a decision. How's that sound?
Or we don't even have to. We can finish out the rest of this podcast with wrestling. We can talk about this later. This isn't time intensive. You understand what I'm saying here? Like, we don't have to figure this out tonight or tomorrow. If Bob Gray puts a timer on us, we tell him pound salt. We'll figure this out when we want to.
I'm good with that. I assumed that we were trying to figure this out before Mania season, but
Well,
if
I mean,
it happens,
we can, but if we
if
don't,
it happens,
who
if it
cares?
happens to be after Mania, whatever, he's the quote unquote new debut challenger after WrestleMania, which we're always excited for the after Mania Raw or whatever anymore. So I mean, that could be that too.
Yeah, I say we get into wrestling and we worry about this Bob Gray stuff later. At the end of the episode, great. Off the episode, fine. But let's talk wrestling now, because like Beef said, pardon me, he didn't say that. It's WrestleMania season. There's a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, there is.
Whole bunch of shit going down.
Take us away, Beef.
Fastlane happened. It was a good show.
It was a thing.
Here's the problem. When you're going into your biggest show of the year, you don't want to have a good show. You either go from Elimination Chamber, which was a fairly good, like decent, like okay, exciting show, to WrestleMania with like a nice little lull, but you still have like the anticipation building up, or you put out a fucking crackerjack fest that's amazing to watch, and you go, man, I can't wait to see what they do at WrestleMania. You don't come out halfway.
Listen.
Because if you come out halfway, you're going to get hurt.
Listen, now I'm just
Giggity.
imagining us coming on after any given pay-per-view and doing the episode and just going, boys, that was a crackerjack of an event, wasn't it? My gosh, did you see the mighty big throwing? Man, they must lift a lot of triangular weights.
The mighty big throwing, man. Love
No,
it.
trapezoid shape weights.
Rhombus!
My point here is that my point here is that Fastlane, ironically enough, was very much passing lane as cruise control was on.
Oh, yeah.
Very clearly.
Why do you
Very
think so?
clearly.
Yeah.
What? So what stood out to you? You know what stood out to me? I don't remember a damn thing except for the end of the Bryan and Reigns match.
I was going to say, man, Bryan and Reigns was a really fun, good match.
The Fiend.
yeah,
I was like, were you not here for the Fiend? Hello.
Oh, I didn't do this today because I was a little in Dutch, and also I had a very important meeting at 2:00, which I'll talk about after the podcast.
Hooray.
Here's a little fast count news for you. It's going to be very fast. Randy Orton's wife is very, very, very angry at Alexa Bliss for the way that she pinned Randy Orton. She is actually very angry about it.
I would.
Mounted him, and I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too, because that is best version of Alexa Bliss. Number one, the Fiend, we will get to that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, Randy Orton's wife is legit
Kim?
furious.
Is that her name, Kim?
Yeah, I think it's Kim. But Randy Orton, to respond to her, threw out a tweet, which he...
Uh-oh, I didn't see this.
Randy
I
Orton,
fucking love that tweet. It's so great.
Randy Orton, I can't remember exactly what it said, Beef, if you can recall, but it has since been deleted. But by God, the internet's there, so screen captures the thing. Randy Orton basically was like, wrestling's fake. What are you doing? Like, that's pretty much what he did.
He's like, someone should tell my wife that wrestling's fake. Or no, he's like, hey guys, should I tell her that wrestling's fake?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, Randy Orton's killing on Twitter.
And I was like, and Randy
He's
Orton
gonna get himself divorced.
Yo,
He is going to be in the doghouse.
So apparently there were two things. Number one, Randy Orton apparently has a lot of creative control backstage with his angles and what he does. And to be fair, he's earned it in my opinion. You know what we're seeing in the real good, like, we're going to look back and say this was prime Randy Orton, some of the prime Randy Orton. He's doing a great job. However, backstage, apparently after it was done, because that was done, people were furious at him, like, backstage. He got, like, dressed down backstage.
See,
Was that his call? Was that his idea?
The only heat that I wrote at him was the heat from Kim. I didn't hear that anybody else had a problem.
Oh
but
no,
that Kim
no.
was like,
They
Wait.
"What are you doing, Randy?"
Hold on. Here's the question: did people have problem with his tweet or what Kim had a problem with?
What Kim had a problem
what
with.
Kim had a problem
Oh.
with. They had a problem with that, and I think it has to do with, and I'm sure we'll mention it at least once, Peacock censoring all of the inappropriate whatnot, what have you, from days of future past of WWE, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But this, Randy Orton apparently backstage got super dressed down, and it was one of those things where, like, I read, and I think it was on What Culture's page, whatculturewrestling.com, or whatculture.com/WWE. Apparently, like, Randy Orton was, like, being dressed down to the point where it was like he needed, like, it was like they said, I believe, and I'll have to go back and double check, where it said, like, he needed consoled. Like, it was bad. That one decision was, like, apparently this cataclysmic thing. And the problem is, it fit the character, it fit the situation, and it fit everything that was going on.
She was
know
on
what I
his
mean?
Hold on.
torso /
need-
stomach. She wasn't on his crotch.
Yeah,
like,
I need
she
to
wasn't-
clarify this.
Yeah.
I need to clarify this. Was it WWE dressing him down because of what his wife said? Is that what it was?
No, because she didn't tweet that until like Monday, I think.
Yeah.
He was dressed down because of how Alexa Bliss pinned him?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that Randy Orton's idea? Was that his call?
Yes, it was his call, apparently.
So he told her, pin me this way.
Well, I'm sure that he and Alexa and Bray probably all had, like, you know,
Yeah.
how you go over in Gorilla and you say, okay, here are the spots, and you have your booker there, your producer there, that's saying, okay, here are the spots we want to hit. So I'm sure that Randy and Bray and Alexa, my God, I can buy both names. Anyway, I'm sure that they all probably were in Gorilla saying, okay, here's what we're gonna do, blah blah blah, hit these spots.
Okay,
and that's how they determine.
gotcha.
So it may not have been
I
a
wasn't
Randy
sure
Orton
exactly
call,
what the dressing down was because of.
but Orton is the in that particular triumvirate. Orton is the veteran. He's the guy that
He's the senior
quote-unquote,
guy. Yeah.
He's the guy that quote unquote knows better. And well, so let's. I don't want to get into the Peacock stuff yet, but I mean, you've got to figure that they had some sort of a memo from Peacock that's like, hey, we're flushing some of the shit on the network. And you had to figure that probably had to get out the talent, and that somebody was like, hey, talent, don't do anything to jeopardize this partnership.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is that, like, it was something that when she did that, first of all, I don't know about you guys, I went, oh, what a great way to pin him. What a great way to put this down. And then also I went, ooh, what I've never once in my life wanted to be Randy Orton. But now, you know, but regardless of that, that was just a little fast count news for you. On to, what do you guys think of the burnt fiend, the Krispy Kreme fiend?
You know what? I think it's not terrible. I mean, obviously, obviously the original design look or whatever of the fiend and his mask and everything, I thought was really cool. You know, and I liked throughout the fiend's character having at one point, like, basically, like, having him bounce back and forth between Swamp Wizard Bray, Sweater Bray, and the Fiend, showing that the Fiend was this overall, like, omnipresent thing or whatever. I liked the fact that they still went back with Tom Savini. So shout out to our local boy there.
Oh yeah.
That they went back with him for him to help on the design of this. I mean, it fits the character. I don't know if we'll ever get back to, like, the quote unquote unburnt Bray or unburnt Fiend or whatever. But I don't hate it. I mean, it was different. It's going to take a little getting used to, just because I have the image of the Fiend, of what the Fiend is supposed to be, ingrained in my brain, but it's different. But it's not going to change how the character is, I don't think. I think what'll be interesting for me to see is what they do going forward, if they do anything with the Firefly Funhouse, or if they kind of shift that to be in Alexa's playground like they had done in the Fiend's absence. So I'm kind of more the look I don't care so much about. I'm kind of more curious to see what they do with the actual character and if they go back to Sweater Bray at all, if we see him again, or if it's just crispy fucking, marshmallow fucking burnt Fiend or not.
I love it, man. I love the prosthesis. I love the entrance, like from the fucking portal of hell with the red glowing and the smoke. I mean, I'm getting like goosebumps just talking about it, man. The only thing I didn't dig was the jumpsuit. I get the jumpsuit because that's what he was, buried in or whatever. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I want to see a better like outfit on it because the outfit made it look very meh. But like the actual facial prosthesis and like the arms, perfect. It gave me like Freddy Krueger vibes, and I'm in on it.
Ransom, what do you think?
I thought it was a very neat way to bring back the Fiend. Continue on with the whole he was set on fire. He's got, the rubber, whatever the hell that suit's made out of that looks like burnt flesh. It's nice to see that they continued on with something. Yeah, and didn't just say, well, Randy Orton set the Fiend on fire. Oh, the Fiend's back like nothing ever happened.
Right.
It's neat that they continued on with that. I say kudos to them for going the long haul, at least this far. And
I really think, honestly, and like Beef said, to go back about passing fancy lane. I think I really think that was like the keynote thing of all of it. And I'm not trying to, I know we do a lot of poo-pooing of WWE and their decisions and their booking and everything, but like, I think that coming back and setting up Bray versus Orton at Mania, I think it's going to be good. I think it'll be really cool if they do a cinematic match with them. I'm hoping for it.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a lot better at the cinematic thing. They really are.
They really are.
I've heard rumor that Bo Dallas is going to be somehow brought into this cacophony of Bray Wyatt family or what Fiend family, whatever it is. My question to you guys is, in what aspect, if it all happens, what aspect do you see it happening as? Do you see him showing up as a version of the Fiend as well, an unburnt version of the Fiend? Do you see him being a completely different Wyatt character that's not a Fiend but is somehow collaborating with them? Or do you think that this is all idle speculation and never going to happen?
Yo, what if they go WandaVision on it and they have Bo Dallas come back as Sweater Bray?
Oh,
and they just replace Sweater Bray in the Firefly Funhouse like nothing fucking happened.
That would be awesome.
I don't know. Maybe. I would say the most likely scenario is either one of two things. Either Bo comes back as like kind of a disciple, like how Alexa Bliss got overtaken, and Bo comes back as just like some disciple of the Fiend or something, or I don't know, or it's just all speculative and they're never bringing back Bo for anything. I don't know.
I guess time will tell, but we've been saying for years, man, they need to do something with Bo, because especially him working with Bray, he'd probably feel a lot more comfortable. And I think Bo is a lot of untapped potential for years that they've had with WWE.
Not to mention the similarities, too. They look very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, Bo Dallas grows his beard out. He looks very, very similar to Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And the last time that we saw him, if I recall, he started chonking up a little bit, not like in a Husky Harris way. Like, he started getting a little bit bigger, and having that grizzled look with the beard and stuff, it was working. And we even postulated when he started having the change cosmetically that we were like, oh, he's gonna be part of this whole this whole to-do.
Back when it was the Wyatt family.
Yep. Back. Yeah, exactly. But if I may, I'm just going to go back to a real quick point about Fastlane being very meh. The fact that that our first discussion out the gate was about a tweet that Randy Orton's wife sent out about something, about one like 5-second part of the event. This is the event before WrestleMania. like I don't know, man. Like it didn't do anything for me. And
Well,
up until Monday night, WrestleMania had not. Like I looked at the card and I was like, whatever. Now it's starting to take a little bit more shape, and I'm starting to get a little bit more like super excited about it. So I'm getting there, but you got to get me there faster, boys.
So for people that didn't watch Monday Night Raw, aka myself, or SmackDown, which happens tomorrow, I guess, is the title match between Edge and Reigns going to have Daniel Bryan in it?
so
Likely.
it hasn't been announced yet, but all signs are pointing. The writing's kind of on the wall for a triple threat. Which, don't get me wrong, this is something I was actually going to ask you guys, is what your guys' thoughts were on it. And since I kind of leading it here, I will say I'm cool with it. I'm cool with the idea of a triple threat. It makes sense. You could have if you are going to have Reigns drop the title, you could have Edge or Daniel Bryan pin one or the other, one of another, and not have Reigns eat the pin and still make him look strong even in losing. However, if they knew for sure they were going to go with a triple threat for one of their big titles, I would have preferred to have seen it been the WWE Championship and have it been like Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and either Sheamus or Brock Lesnar. Now, if they couldn't get Brock Lesnar in, I understand that, you can't control that sort of thing, but you have Sheamus there. There's still a good built-in storyline with that too. I just feel it's kind of almost. And I posed this question about NXT. NXT, I understand it more with the tag team title situation. So, like in my mind, I look at it like, all right, MSK won the Dusty Cup. They got a tag team title opportunity. They got attacked by grizzled young veterans, whatever. Now in real life, Danny Burch just sustains an injury. Him and Oney Lorcan have to vacate the titles. Regal comes up with this triple threat match idea for the tag team championships. Okay, I get that because that's a situational thing. In this case, Edge won the Royal Rumble, went from start to finish. He earned that championship spot, but now we're going to throw in the caveat of, you also have to fight for it against Daniel Bryan too. Like, to me, it kind of feels like, kind of feels like that Edge kind of got the short end of the stick on that. But again, I understand if they're going to go with the fact of, if they are going to have Reigns drop it, Reigns doesn't have to eat the pin, and thus he doesn't look weak in it. So I get it from that aspect. But from a storyline standpoint, I would have preferred to have seen it been the WWE Championship.
Well,
what say you, Ransom?
WrestleMania 11, Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble and fucking undercarded to Bam Bam versus LT. So at that point is when winning the Rumble really meant shit. They've done triple threat matches before. Cena, Triple H, and Orton stand out in my mind.
Yeah, I get that, but I personally don't agree with doing that. I feel like if I spoke my piece, but go ahead.
Well, okay. So the reason why I'm okay with it is because, number one, yes, Edge did fight to get that spot, but Edge is back and he's eager, he's hungry, he has grit. And the thing is, Edge would never be one, as the wily veteran, to turn down a challenge and let alone the opportunity to work with someone the caliber of a Daniel Bryan. So I don't feel like it unbehooves or minimalizes what Edge did. I think that it throws an extra way to make the match more exciting and into the mix. And I also think it throws another way to also protect Edge, because he can rest more. He can not take as many hard bumps because there's another person to kind of share the load.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, there is that. I agree with that.
What do you think?
I'm all for it, man. And here's why. Edge is a good dude. Edge doesn't need the title run. You know what? I'm gonna put my my stink on this one right now. I think Daniel Bryan should win this title. And again, I love Edge. I'm glad he returned. He had a great Rumble. Super excited to see him in a WrestleMania. But I think that Bryan is like lightning in a bottle, man. And like when you get that and you have that, you gotta like churn and burn, man. And at the end of the day, honestly, I'm not going to be disappointed however the match goes. If Reigns wins, awesome. That just cements his legacy as a great heel champion. If Edge wins, great. One of my all-time favorites. Love it. If Bryan wins, fucking finally. And yes, I understand he got a WrestleMania 30 moment, but that was quickly snatched away from him. I don't know, man. I think the title's Bryan's to lose. If we're being real, I think honestly, Edge probably has a longer career left than Daniel Bryan does.
You're honestly not wrong, and not trying to. Well, before I steer away, Ransom, what's your take?
Yeah,
because you're the biggest Edge fan of us all.
So let me ask this first, though, before I give my thoughts on this. When Daniel Bryan was in WrestleMania for the title, was that a one-on-one match, or did he triple threat that one as well?
That was triple threaded.
Batista won the Royal Rumble that year.
Yeah,
that was the Batista year.
Okay, so I do have a few problems with this, and my problems with this, you might think that they're stupid, and that's fine, you know. But my issue with this is one. My issue with this is one, Edge won the Rumble, and I understand what Beef said about Shawn Michaels won the Rumble, and the WrestleMania was headlined by Bam Bam and LT, and that's when winning the Rumble became sort of delegitimized. Yeah, I agree with that. But if you're going to have him come back and win the Rumble, why is it now going to be a triple threat match? He won the Rumble. Shouldn't he? And I know they did with Batista too, but I feel like that was a year where the fans really stuck it to WWE, and WWE didn't have a choice, because if they would have straight up went with Orton versus Batista, that match would have got stunk on by the fans like no other. They would have booed and chanted for Michael Cole and JBL the whole match. So they had to insert Bryan there. They absolutely had to. It doesn't make me cringe to say it. I am a huge Edge head, but at the same time, I agree with Beef. This should be Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan should win this title. And my problem with it is if it was going to be Daniel Bryan's year to win this championship, if this was going to be a WrestleMania moment for him, he's lightning in a bottle, all of that. But why not capitalize on that by having Daniel Bryan throw out Edge at the very end to win the Rumble? Not only are you featuring Edge in the Rumble now, the returning Edge, the hero, whatever, but you capitalize on that lightning in the bottle moment even more by saying, hey, Edge is back, but guess what? I'm Daniel Bryan, and I tossed his legendary ass out of the Royal Rumble. I'm not saying you turn him heel, but that adds fuel to the Daniel Bryan fire. I'm a little ticked off that it seems like every time Daniel Bryan's going into WrestleMania for a big WrestleMania moment, guess what? It's Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match. Why can't this dude headline WrestleMania in a one-on-one match? Now, I understand it's going to be better. I think it's going to be a better technical match if it's Edge and Bryan in there at the same time. Yes. But man, I would really just love to see Daniel Bryan go over at WrestleMania, win the title in a one-on-one decision, giving Daniel Bryan more of that WrestleMania moment.
And also to your point, Ransom, if they knew that if it does end up being Daniel Bryan and they were going to go with him, and I understand some plans can change last minute or whatever, like with last year's Mania with Roman Reigns pulling out with everything with COVID, I get that, but by all accounts, like they have an idea of the direction they're going months and months beforehand.
You
So
would think.
Do they though?
Remember when we heard those reports a couple weeks ago about Vince McMahon blowing this up?
I know.
This is 100. Like I read this report. This match is 100%.
Okay. My point is, if they had even an inkling of an idea that they were going to involve Bryan, why didn't they have Bryan win the Rumble? The one thing that he, like, the one, feather in the cap that he has not had yet in the WWE. Now, I understand that Bryan has not won the Universal title before, and neither has Edge. That's all well and fine. But, but Bryan is a multiple-time champion. He's held both the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title. Regardless if he never holds the Universal title, that's fine. But I feel like if they had an inkling of an idea, they should have let him win the Rumble. And not saying he had to go the distance, but just have him win the Rumble. You know what I mean? Like that's
what I was saying. They didn't know that. Vince McMahon literally blew things up from the ground up, and this was one of the casualties that he said, "Okay, we need to do something different. We're going to put Bryan in this match."
And this happened after the Rumble. That's what you're saying, right?
Oh, this happened, I think, like the week before Fastlane. Remember when I posted that report in the group chat about Vince like blowing up WrestleMania? Like this is like the big one, and so.
And that's the problem with everything.
Before we move off topic of this, I also read a report, and again, internet, who knows? But this report said that there was some insider in WWE that leaked this information about the change of what's coming. And the plan, according to this insider, was the triple threat match. Edge pins Bryan to win the title to get it off of Roman Reigns without Roman Reigns getting the pin. But for some reason, Roman Reigns is pissed about this. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's the article that I read.
Interesting.
I don't know if Roman Reigns is going to be legit pissed or if that's the actual outcome.
I could see Roman Reigns being upset about that, not because he has his head up his own ass and, is over his hype. I really, again, as much crap as we've given him, I don't believe he's that kind of guy.
No, not at all.
So the thing is, with that, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Okay, with that, the thing is with him, I could see him being upset because it's like, no, have Bryan pin me. I've been running roughshod. Like, you know what I mean? Like Bryan or Edge. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, we need to protect Reigns. We need to keep him looking strong. Reigns is probably like, no, like have me get my comeuppance. Have me lose. Like I could see him being upset that he's not that they're trying to do that because that's a formula, first of all, that people predict whenever there's a triple threat match. Usually someone is just there to eat the pin. Second of all, it's because I think Reigns honestly would want something that was best for business and make a truly memorable moment.
Well, and that's the thing. Is Edge pinning Daniel Bryan best for business?
Either
they want this big monumental pop. Do you think you're going to get that if Edge pins Bryan?
But it works both. It works both ways, though. That's what I'm saying. Is that
I agree.
You get what I'm saying? Like
yep,
he would want like him to be the one to get pinned.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. I'm saying on rant and speculation about that article about Edge pinning Bryan. I think that's about the worst idea that they can do because we've seen what happens. Royal Rumble 2014, Daniel Bryan was not involved despite all the big hype surrounding him. And they booed Batista, the returning face, Evolution's own, the guy who was fucking Drax the Destroyer. They booed him out of the fucking, it wasn't the Melon Up. I don't know what it was at that point.
Thank you.
No, not KeyBank. No, hold on.
Semantics, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're right. But they booed him out of the arena.
We booed him out of Pittsburgh.
If Edge beats Bryan, and I'm not saying they're going to boo Edge out of the fucking Tampa Bay Stadium, but man, it's certainly not going to be this big monumentous pop. If Edge beats Reigns, oh yeah, hell yes. If Bryan beats Reigns, oh hell yes. But if one of the other two beat the other, it's going to go down like a wet fart in church.
Oh yeah.
It will be an instant heel turn, just like what happened with Batista. They could not push Batista as a face. He was getting consistently booed no matter what. That moment right there, WWE inadvertently turned Batista heel. If you have Edge pin Bryan, that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to turn Edge heel because people are going to boo Edge.
Well, I mean,
I really believe that's what's going to happen.
And to be fair, even at the end of the match on Fastlane, like, you kind of almost got some heelish vibes from Edge. Like, he's kind of tweener right now, like he's a frustrated face or something. Like, he looked like he was frustrated by his own actions or whatever. So, I mean, it kind of works, but at the same time, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm just wondering.
They have to play their cards right. I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. It's just like, it's if there was somebody that they were gonna, like, if there was somebody the crowd turned on and they turned on Edge, like Ransom is saying that could happen, I think they'd be able to take it and run with it. Edge is that good of a worker and that good with his character that he could just take it and let it go and just go with it and be a fucking heel again if he had to. Like, I don't think he has a problem.
Be the rated R superstar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The rated R superstar.
So listen, also, not to, really try to parry away from this discussion, but as Poot said in a Fast Cow News, Andrade Cien Almas released. He's gone.
Yep.
On top of all that, Charlotte Flair has been around for a while. Allegedly, she's got the COVID. Beef, you want to talk about this?
I took some serious heat, man. Sean over at Pro Wrestling Now and Then, who is one of the new admins, and I respect the hell out of him. He's super smart. And even Denny, who's another guy who I respect the hell out of, we're both like, dude, there's no chance that this would be alleged. By God, man, like, COVID sure is convenient, isn't it? And that's not me being tongue in cheek. That's not me being political. That's me saying what. So allegedly,
Great timing.
Allegedly, Charlotte Heel has COVID. The same week that her fiance is released after sitting around in catering saying that he wants to follow his dreams. The same week that Rhea Ripley debuts on Monday Night Raw and demanding a title shot, Charlotte Flair comes down with COVID. The same week that all this stuff comes out about how I guess the stuff's kind of been festering about her being unhappy with the Lacey Evans spot, about them not really having a direction for Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania other than obviously beating Asuka. So suddenly she has COVID. Thoughts and prayers. And here's the thing. I don't want to sound like an asshole. If she does have COVID, I certainly do hope that she makes a full recovery, and I have no doubt that she will, because she is a hell of a specimen, very athletic, and athletes tend to fucking roll this thing over with no problem. But it's awful fucking convenient that you have a potentially sour grape on the vine, and as opposed to letting that die on the vine or infect the other grapes, you just pluck it and say, you know what, we're just gonna make you into a little bit of a tart. We'll bring you back later.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, when you said that, I was like, Beef, come on. It is the way it is. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, all these things lining up, it's pretty fucking convenient, man. It's pretty fucking interesting. Like, who knows? I mean, who knows?
We'll never know.
I'm just glad. And listen, not trying to belittle Charlotte here. I'm just glad that Andrade is going to be back out there. And the other interesting fact, to go along with what Ransom said, is that apparently Andrade does not have a no-compete clause. He could go out there literally the day he walked out the door and jump in a ring for someone else.
Yep.
Now, my question on that is... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beef.
I was going to say, by the way, at Sakura Genesis, did you know that Will Ospreay's group is in a 6-man tag against, wouldn't you know it, Los Ingobernables de Japan?
Wow.
And they're the TBH. They're the TBH spot listed alongside their Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb. Not saying.
Now, when does that take place?
That is April the 4th, Mania Week, baby.
Okay.
Oh boy. So yeah, not saying, but saying. So my question is, was that an oversight on Andrade's contract, or was that intentionally put in there because WWE really didn't have any fear of him leaving, going somewhere, and pulling eyes?
Neither.
That's a good question.
Because it's because of their respect for Charlotte Flair. They believe 110% that Charlotte Flair is their moneymaker. Yes, they think that they have a great find in Sasha. Bianca's a hot rising star, and that Rhea Ripley is the future. But right now, the present is Charlotte Flair. They believe so highly that she is their best female superstar that they absolutely kowtowed to her when she said, hey, you know what? Since you're not using my fiance, you may as well let him go. And if you don't let him go without a no-compete clause, I'm going to be pissed.
You really believe that she's got that much stroke to be able to alter contracts?
She's a Flair.
Yeah.
She's a Flair. That name is like minting gold.
Yeah, so all right. So I do see that, but at the same time, WWE has let Ric Flair go several times. Now, he's done a lot for them, and yes, the Flair name does carry a lot of clout, but in the 90s, they let him go back to WCW. After his career-ending match with Shawn Michaels, they let him go, and he showed up in TNA, Impact, whatever the format was called. He's been on AEW, hasn't he?
Once?
I thought he was there once for
Flair?
something. I thought so. I could be wrong, but in any case, so maybe if he wasn't, didn't even do a guest appearance on AEW.
He might have
Let's
been.
I think he was supposed to be the guy that was like gonna present the title, but that ended up being Bret Hart.
Okay, so all right, so Flair wasn't on AEW, but WWE has let him go several times. Yeah, the name holds a lot of clout, and I don't at all disagree with that. But if that name was that important, don't you think that they would be wrapping him up consistently with some sort of contract, not letting him go to other places, not letting him do certain things, even if he's not wrestling for them anymore? They want to own that Flair name. They want that all.
Why bother? Why?
You mean kind of like how they
think-
did with The Undertaker and him not being able to do appearances at cons and stuff like that?
Yeah, or do you think that this Flair has run its course?
Yep.
The name still carries clout, but we're more interested in this Flair over here. This Flair is more important than the old one.
You got it. You got it.
That's
because
what it is?
There was an American Dad episode, and I'm in the weeds. I apologize, but there's an American Dad episode about the Guy Fieri demon being passed on through the ages, and eventually Jeff comes down with it, and they have to put him in the lake of cheese. All that notwithstanding, the Flair demon has been passed on, man. Like Flair has taken that robe and passed that mantle on to Charlotte. Charlotte now has that, wheeling and dealing, kiss stealing. Like, she's the Learjet Flyer now. She is the Flair. She's in the reboot of Walking Tall. Like, she is the Flair that WWE cares about now. They put hundreds of millions of dollars into her. They've put hours and hours of time.
Sorry, I
Oh, Tom, you and I both.
Yeah, I know. I heard it too. Like fucking RoboCop. I heard it too. We can rebuild her. We can make her better. No, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the McMahon money machine has been behind her. Like they have been
moles.
They have been pushing her since day one on the roster. Like, she is the embodiment of women's wrestling, of this women's revolution to them. Why bother having the old man when you got the young stud? They don't have an Undertaker Jr. There's no, someone...
Yeah, they do. Bray Wyatt.
Or Finn the fucking Balor. Yes, they had their opportunity, but they blew it. I don't think that they have with Charlotte. So they're trying to... That's what I'm saying. I think they kowtowed her. That's why they're giving her this little bit of leave of absence to avoid another Sasha Banks situation where we're all like, does she end up in AEW? How big of a deal would that be? So they're giving her some time off to find herself, to find her smile, and come back after WrestleMania and probably beat Rhea Ripley for the title.
So your thinking is this COVID angle is a way for both WWE to let her take time off without admitting that she's pissed about Andrade, and she's going along with this COVID angle. Let's hypothesize and say that it's not actually COVID. she's going along with it because it's better for her to play ball with them and say, yep, I've got COVID, that's why I'm not around, as opposed to WWE saying she's got COVID and she's saying, nope, I'm super pissed about what they did, that's why I'm not there.
Right, because why burn that bridge? You know, if you're Charlotte Flair, your stock's at an all-time high. And all props to AEW. Y'all know that I love it. Absolutely my favorite. WWE is the biggest wrestling organization on the planet. Why burn that bridge needlessly? Whenever both of you have a very convenient and topical situation, exactly. Like when you could both save face. Because here's the thing: if she had COVID, as our own Barty Boy can attest, you need 10 days from first exposure to last. If she had COVID, and they knew about it, say last Sunday when they're making plans for Monday Night Raw, 2 weeks is up, or 10 days is up, like the middle of this week, back in plenty of time for WrestleMania. So that's the other thing that sticks in my craw is that, you know, she's off the WrestleMania card because she has COVID 3 weeks beforehand. Do
you think she's not going to be at Mania at all?
I don't.
Or do you think she'll come around and say, okay, all right, I'm still pissed, but WWE is going to throw me a bucket of money and probably a title. I'm coming back for Mania.
They took her off the poster. And
yeah, that was the other thing.
And Ric Flair even tweeted, like, WrestleMania is not going to be the same without you.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Kind of going back to what I was talking about with the Daniel Bryan triple threat situation. The stuff, if even at the very most, like if they change some matches around and stuff, like the posters and stuff that they were doing for Mania, that stuff is figured out like months ahead of time. And they took her off of the WrestleMania poster. So yeah, it's and I don't think it's I'm with you guys on, I think it's probably them trying to make COVID a convenient angle. Some people have speculated it's because she's doing that reboot of Walking Tall, but I don't believe that, because if it was because of the movie thing, like, I'm sorry, like when it comes,
you shoot your movie around Mania?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say exactly. Like
know?
when it comes to WrestleMania season, like in Vince McMahon's world, you know, he's God and Mania is the most important thing ever. And no, you're not gonna have one of my top talents filming this movie, you know, that's gonna interfere with Mania. You can get her before, you can get her after, but she needs to be here for Mania. Like that in my mind, for as much of a control freak as Vince McMahon is, there's no way that it would be because of the movie that she's not going to be at Mania. So I fully believe that it's because she's pissed and they're just finding a convenient scapegoat in COVID.
Now we could, and I know this is kind of a hard shift, so make sure to secure your heads, boys. We could talk about what's going on with Charlotte Flair and what's going on with Andrade and how this is. This is one of those things we're just going to have to watch to see how it plays out. Talking about Mania season, though, and everything, what do you say we shift over to NXT really quick? Because I'm going to tell you something. After watching this week's episode of NXT, I am so thrilled that so far they have not dropped the ball on making Kyle O'Reilly feel big time. And also, the promo that they did where they were sitting on opposite sides of the table and they made it really feel like they want to kill each other. Like Regal talking about, like, you know, talking about how they got the police involved and I will not have you guys tear down, sign this and say we're not responsible and everything. I'm going, oh, this is good. This is good. And then Adam Cole opened his mouth and I went, oh my God. And again, I know I do this all the time. He is Shawn Michaels. You just listen to him talk and you go, God, this guy's big time. This guy is all the money. And then I'm sitting there waiting for Kyle O'Reilly's response, and he's sitting there looking like a badass. And he spit back at Adam Cole, and I was like, ooh, man, He's got the chops. This is going to be great. Like, Kyle O'Reilly really is feeling big time.
Dude, I can't fucking wait. Like, that's going to be a great match. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
I especially like during their exchange, like Kyle O'Reilly, his felt a little bit more emotional. Like, I sold my soul for you, and all you did was fucking use me and our friendship. And at the one point, he's like mid sentence about something. He's like, blah blah blah. He's like, look at me, and like, just
so
fuck
good.
It. I was like, I got chills when he did. I was like, ooh.
The line that got me, real quick, Tom. That you mentioned, the line that got me was, "I sold my soul for you, and I want it back." Like, oh man, what a great fucking line.
That was good. To kind of pivot off of that a little bit, since you brought up his name, I like the fact that before that segment, you had Shawn Michaels kind of walk past Adam Cole backstage, or just past the entranceway backstage there, which was cool. And second, speaking of Shawn Michaels, how about the fact that for the Cruiserweight title, we're going to get it as a ladder match, the unification, just like back in the day with the IC title. I like that.
I love the Eliminator match, too. The fucking gauntlet match on night one. Like that.
That'll be good.
Like, so I'm not thrilled about having night one on USA with commercials. I hope that they can do something like obviously the gauntlet match is going to be your best chance for commercials. I really hope that they do something to kind of minimize the commercial breaks, because to me takeovers are the best when there are no fucking commercials. And I understand that we're in the era of Peacock now, where that's what we're going to get. We're going to get commercials unless we pay the super premium tier. But at the end of the day, I want my takeover without commercials. So I'm a little bummed about that, but man, like looking at this card, and then you throw in presumptive tag team title match between Ember and Shotzi and Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. I mean, man, this takeover may be the best takeover yet.
Oh, absolutely.
So
and the fact that they're making it 2 nights, like that right there, shows you how much care they're taking to it, to realize like they're so stacked right now. Like we can't just throw this all into one night. It's too much. Like we have to give it the respect and the time that it deserves. Go ahead, Ransom.
So just not comparing commercials or the magnitude and spectacle, match quality, match caliber. Do you think that TakeOver is going to be better than Mania?
Oh my God. It has been the last 4 years.
Oh, okay. So we're probably not going to break it this year.
Based off the matches that are announced so far, and based on the storylines that are presented that are getting me the most emotionally involved, I'm more excited for TakeOver than Mania. But
well, here's the other side. Like, this is Pepsi versus Coke. All right. NXT is your wrestling show. NXT is not terribly story driven, although this Cole O'Reilly thing is real good. The stuff with Gargano is pretty good. Like there definitely are some really good stories. But like NXT is your wrestling show. WrestleMania is your like spectacle, granddaddy of them all. They're two different products that I think that you can enjoy equally. If there's going to be a WrestleMania that's as good as the TakeOver, honestly, and I know that I just used the word Wrestlemania last week, and that this is an absolute 180-degree turn, but that's how crazy it is. In 1 week, I go from not caring about it to looking at the WrestleMania card going, hey, you know what? This might be pretty fucking good.
Oh, interesting. So, look, another big thing that's happening around this time is the Hall of Fame. We've got some entrants already that are going into the Hall of Fame. Some seem great, like Kane. I think that's well-deserved. Eric Bischoff is a very interesting one because he has the WCW cloud, the TNA cloud, and the AEW cloud hanging. So for WWE to put him in, that's that was a little surprising to me. There is some letdowns, though. The great Khali. Now, I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Mine are pretty simple. Yes, he was a WWE champion. The things that he's done in WWE, does that make him Hall of Fame worthy? In my eyes, no. It really doesn't. When you have some greats out there that are not in the Hall of Fame, that may not have won the big title, but have still done amazing work and had much better careers than Khali has, you have him going in? This is the conspiracy theorist in me. It really screams, hey, guess where we're going to go again once we can.
Well, and it's not even that, but you're 100% on the right scent. This is a marketing ploy. And you know what? I get it. It's a business. Like, they're giving us Eric Bischoff. They're giving us Kane. They're giving us Molly Holly. 3 names that I'm like, man, that person deserves to be in. Khali is like, this one's for us because they have a burgeoning product in India. They have a new television deal over in India. And there's NXT. I don't know if it's NXT India, but there's an NXT brand coming for that subcontinent. So, like, they're branching out big time over there. This, because when people in India think wrestling, they think the Great Khali, not fucking Jinder Mahal.
I was going to say, what about the modern day Maharaja? They don't think about him anymore?
No.
He's gotten a raw deal. I'm sorry. I'll say it. He's gotten a raw deal. That's a whole nother discussion, though.
But the Khali thing is definitely for the Indian fan base.
Well, yeah.
I get it, man. Like, why not? I don't agree, but it's the same thing with Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker was at WrestleMania, or not Bob Uecker. Oh my God, the guy that came.
Barker?
No, the guy that came Tombstone 3 years in a row.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Like, that was done tongue in. He was the first. I think he was the first. One of the first celebrities. Inducted him because it's tongue in cheek because he couldn't get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So they're like, hey, you're gonna make a Hall of Fame in your lifetime, huh? Like, I get it. And they did that just so that ESPN could go, hey, Pete Rose is making the Hall of Fame.
Well,
but
hey,
not the one that you're
yuck.
thinking of.
Well, hey, yuck.
Well,
like,
more details at 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, fuck it. If we're gonna put the Great Khali in, then fuck it. Let's put the oddities in while we're at it.
Hey, the Bellas are coming in this year too. They were 2020 inductees. So if the Bella Twins can get in, fuck it. Let's let Khali in.
Look, okay.
They've done more than the fucking Great Khali.
Yeah, more to set the business back fucking 20 years.
Wow.
Fuck.
I did not know that you were such a sour grapes boy on the Bellas.
Oh, yeah.
They're the antithesis of the fucking diva movement. Like,
really?
Yeah.
All
Them
right.
and fucking Kelly Kelly
I don't have
made Vince McMahon.
I'm nothing the Bellas. Like,
the Bellas and Kelly Kelly made Vince McMahon go, you know what? We should stop having women wrestle, put them in lingerie pillow fights, and give them a butterfly title. Because they can't wrestle, but man, they look good.
Well, do you think that they did that? I think it started before that. I mean, you had Sable, you had the Cat. You know, you had all those people that were like.
But then you had Trish and Lita and Victoria and Jazz and Gail Kim that absolutely like rose it to the next level, and they passed it on to Melina and Mickey James, who are like, yes, this is where it needs to go, and then they're like, you can look, but you can't touch. Like, no, fuck that. Fuck the Bellas. Fuck them.
Jesus.
Fine, but that's a good argument. That is. No, I get it. I understand your rage beef because you're right. It was all for show, and then they built it back up with legit women wrestlers, and then you're right, they tore it back down into the Divas division with the Bellas.
A total piss take.
I can't remember the last time that we've heard a rant like that from Beef. Legit.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been this fired up in a very long time.
Listen, I love women's wrestling, and not because it's fucking TNA, not because I got my fucking NASCAR shirt on, sitting here in my trucker hat going, sorry, no offense,
Yes.
with my fucking like tall boy going, oh man, look at those titties. No man,
Hold on. You sounded like you went from NASCAR to Fat Albert just
I sure
then.
did right there. But my point is, look, I love women's wrestling because like there are
This is
some
incredible.
genuine, awesome women wrestlers. Io Shirai, like best on the
Yeah.
planet. Britt Baker, super fucking good.
Oh
Hikaru
my
Shida,
God.
Nyla Rose, I'll throw her in there. Thunder Rosa, like and fucking Lita, Trish, these Gail Kim, all these people paved the way. Only to have Vince go, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put a bed in the middle of the ring and have them hit each other with pillows for 12 years. Ah!
Easy.
To be fair,
Watch your blood
to be-
pressure.
I'm sure the
Banner
Bellas-
smash!
to be fair, I'll give this to you, Beef. I don't think that the Bellas like helped steer away from that fucking atrocity that it was, but I feel like it came on before them. Like it came on with the likes of like Christy Hemme and Kelly and fucking Maria. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm. No, I agree.
you
Like,
know what I mean?
Although to be fair, Maria's got a nice. She's definitely like added to her resume, but they certainly didn't help like steer away from it. They were like, "Oh hey, look, easy money, let's take it."
I mean, I recall especially.
I get it.
Hold
like,
on.
I get it.
Towards the end of the butterfly belt there, before they brought back the actual women's title, I recall the Nikki Bella having like okay matches. Like I don't know. I mean,
Was that
still
before or after you stopped smoking weed, Tom? Come on.
I would say more so Brie Bella Cowboy. Like if you're gonna throw one of them, it would be Brie Bella.
Yes, Brie has.
Well, yeah. Well, Brie was obviously better than Nikki, but I'm saying like Nikki didn't do like like Nikki wasn't like fucking Kelly is what I'm saying.
No, my God, no. I mean, that's a rare low.
Okay.
Though. I mean, like
I'm just saying the Great Khali was worse than all of that.
Let's
like saying
not
Beef.
forget. Let's not forget all red everything.
oh my God. That's like saying Beef. You may be fat, but at least you're not like ham bone. At least you don't have to have a wall taken out of your house to go to the hospital. Like, yeah,
Well,
you're right.
I mean,
That's a pretty
be grateful.
fucking low
Perspective
fruit.
is everything, Beef. Perspective is everything.
That's a pretty low fruit. That's all I'm saying. Like, oh man, do I hate the Bellas. So yes, if the Bellas are in, fuck it. Let's open up those doors. Let's kick down those doors. Let's bring in whoever the fuck else. If it's a marketing ploy, why the fuck not?
Ransom,
Hulk
did you
Hogan's getting in for the second time, or third,
Ransom.
fourth? I don't know. Eighth?
Did you anticipate sending
Brother.
Beef on a jet fuel rant with that statement, with asking about the Hall of Fame?
No, I mean, I thought I was going to get more vitriol out of him with Khali, but to be fair, I completely forgot about the Bellas.
Yeah.
I did. I completely forgot that they were even in. And I mean,
The bottom line is Ransom wanted a code green, so we gave him a code green. It wasn't what he was expecting, but hey, here we are.
I mean,
yeah, and to be completely honest, no shocker here, everybody. I agree with Beef. It's kind of outrageous that they're going in because they're not great.
Yeah. I mean, fuck it. If the Great Khali's going in while we're at it, why don't we put in Hornswoggle?
Well, I'm just hoping that the person to induct the Great Khali is Tiger Ali Singh.
That's a name.
Yeah.
That's a name,
No,
he
man.
says.
Honestly,
That's a name.
like Muhammad Hassan, dude. Like
Hold on.
I've talked about this a million times. I can't go into it again. But man, that guy was fucking fire, and they pissed it away because they're like, oh well, we can't take any heat.
What if they have the modern day Maharaja inducting the Great Khali?
That makes sense.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It's the same as the Flare Demon, man. Then you're passing on the, I don't know. I don't want to say India Demon because that's terrible. But like, you're passing the torch. You're having the new young Indian guy induct the legendary Indian guy. So it makes sense to go that route. I'd be shocked if they didn't, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know who else they would get to induct him.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think because I honestly.
What about that guy that was like the Great Khali says? What the fuck was his name?
I don't even know.
Oh, Benji something or other. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember what his name was, but yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
Nameless fucking nameless minion manager 1. I don't know.
Yeah, Indian valet guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Hall of Fame, and I mean reportedly RVD is going to be coming too. So what a weird year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he probably he's on there just because he stumbled in and they were like, "Oh, RVD, get out there." He's like, "What? Well, I don't know."
Yeah, right.
Like, fucking-
If Matt Riddle does not induct RVD, there's no justice in this world.
Oh, dude, you know what? Like, yeah, have a laugh, have a pet steak for sure. But honestly, it's got to be Heyman. Like,
Oh my
Heyman
God!
has
If
to
not,
induct
that would be an
RVD.
atrocity.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. Ah, man, I would watch the Hall of Fame for that specific reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, we
It does look though, like with WrestleMania, it does look like we could potentially have another year without Brock Lesnar.
I have a quick last quick question I had about the Hall of Fame. Is have they announced how they're going to tape or air or do any of that?
I think that it was. I think Peacock. Add. Enjoy your 9 ads in the Hall of Fame, you bastards. Fuck, I can't turn it off now. That's my trick, Ransom. I'm always angry.
Go full ham. Go full ham.
All right. So listen.
Let's talk about Peacock beef.
I wanted to avoid this.
Full code green.
I wanted to avoid this because
Market zero.
Do it.
Because I don't want to give Peacock free fucking ad space in my head on my show, our show. But bottom line is,
Wow.
fuck, I jumped in.
You
and
knew
I'm
what
like,
he meant.
Yeah. I'm like, oh hey, Peacock, $250 a month for 4 months. I'm paying $10 and I'm getting 4 months. I get WWE Network and all the shows that I love. Sign me up. Went to watch WrestleMania 24. Ad to start. I'm like, okay, maybe they have one at the end and the beginning. Match 1, ad. Match 2, ad. Match 3, ad. I'm like, okay, we ain't doing this. Only to find out that on Fastlane, it was match 1, ad. Match 2, ad. Peacock. The fuck, bro. And. They're going through and apparently are earmarking and censoring bits of the past. The one that I've read in question was where Vince McMahon strolled up to Booker T and John Cena and dropped the word of words that you don't use unless you want to be a WrestleMania host 8 years after you say it. Whoops. But how weird is it he's hosting with Titus? That's fucking weird, right? Anyway.
Oh, God. God, so weird.
It's all over the place. Anyway, I get that one, okay? Like, that's a pretty glaring thing. But here's the problem, is that whenever you allow a service to go through and start picking and choosing what they deem as acceptable or not. And I'm not trying to go political. I don't want to do that. But you're giving up the opportunity to have history. Because Peacock could go, you know what? Chris Benoit murdered his family. He doesn't deserve to be part of the WWE Network. Whoosh. Snap. Gone.
So,
and
now,
that's a disservice.
It is. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just adding a little bit of fuel to this fire. In that would really burn my chaps a bit if they did that, because the one great thing about Peacock for me is that now I get to watch Parks and Recreation again. Parks and Recreation is a funny show, all of The Office. They're very similar.
Yes.
I watch Parks and Recreation with my son and daughter in the room because it's funny. You know, there are some overt sexual connotations, but not enough for, I think, my kids to really pick up on and hone in on and be like, hey, what are they talking about? So I watched Parks and Recreation, but I watched 4 episodes of Parks and Recreation tonight when I got home. Each episode had at least 2 ads for the John Wayne Gacy documentary, where they talked about murder, where they talked about not manipulation, but mutilation. All of this was on this John Wayne Gacy ad during the Parks and Recreation show. I don't see how that is deemed appropriate. Now, if you were watching a show about murder, like I could see if you were watching Law and Order, okay, that ties in. Fair enough. You're not going to watch Law and Order with your children in the room. It's not appropriate. But when you're watching a comedy show like Parks and Recreation and you pepper every single episode at least twice with commercials for the John Wayne Gacy documentary, and in that you openly talk about body, again, not manipulation, mutilation, murders, killings, all this stuff. Where's the balance of this is appropriate, this is not appropriate?
Now,
you're telling me that Stone Cold coming out and throwing some middle fingers and drinking some beer is inappropriate, but we can advertise a documentary about a serial killer during a comedy show that, whatever.
Okay. First of all, I agree with you, Ransom. I agree with you. That's tactless. And it shows the good dad that Ransom is. And that's in no way sarcastic. He is a good dad. And he's looking out for the best interest for his kids. And I admire that. Now, my question is for Beef. Tom, you haven't gotten on the Peacock bandwagon yet, have you?
Oh, no, I'm on there now because I had to watch it for Fastlane because whenever I was watching
You were
Fastlane,
forcibly removed.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know if my network subscription was up or not or what the deal was. Beef said he was watching it on his Xbox. I had heard from other multiple sources, like I was listening to Busted Open, and I heard that when they were talking about Fastlane, that they also had some people that were, amongst the Busted Open Nation that were having issues with getting on Peacock or not being able to watch it on network. Some people could, some people couldn't. I don't know what the fucking deal was, but
Okay.
I was trying to watch it on my computer. I'm on Peacock now.
Okay, so you're on Peacock. Beef's on Peacock. Yeah. Ransom's on Peacock. The only one who hasn't made the switch yet is Captain WoW over here. So let me ask all three of you, what level of the subscription do you have?
I guess the $4.99 one, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Beef.
I have the low one that you still pay for and get all the stuff, but you have ads.
Okay.
I think I have
Beef.
that. That's what, the $4.99?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I jumped onto the special promo that came in my email. It's like, hey, you're with WWE Network. Enjoy 4 months of Peacock for $2.50 a month. But once the network goes dark, I will probably be upgrading my subscription one time only through WrestleMania season to the the $9.91 one, only because I ain't trying to watch WrestleMania with ads.
Well, and that's my point is that, and I understand this isn't me just saying toss money around all willy nilly. However, when your WWE subscription is up, which is going to be here in the next week and a half, like it's a lateral move financially. Just do the $9.91 or whatever it is, and be done with it. Then you won't have to worry about ads, and you won't have to worry about that stuff. Now, if they do the sneaky bullshit thing that Netflix does, where they're just like, "Hey, here's an email. We're gonna raise your rate. Hey, we're gonna raise your rate. Hey, we're gonna raise your rate." I'm not into that. But it is what it is. Anyway, that's beside the point. My point is, it's a lateral move at that point. You just like get rid of the ads.
I'll probably
That's
upgrade
a fair
it.
point.
I'll probably upgrade it. Hopefully, I'll be watching at least one of the nights of Manias with you guys. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll have to discuss more of that off podcast here. But hey, speaking of you guys, do we have any Stump the Chumps?
Do we want to try one? We have two.
I was gonna say if we do one, let's try one because we are getting long in the tooth, boys.
Yeah, let's do one.
All right, we have one from Maniac, one from Vapor. Which one do you want?
We gave Vapor the space last week. Let's have the bastard Pat go for us.
All right.
Oh yeah, he's returning now.
Yes.
Like the challenge from Ransom. I don't know what that's in reference to. I forget now. I lost too many times to count, so I'm not going to try. Oh, how many Stump the Chumps, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Since it is WrestleMania season, the question is, who wrestled the 3 shortest WrestleMania matches and who won?
Son of a bitch, he's going to do it again. He's going to do it. Okay. So wasn't one of them Daniel Bryan and
Sheamus.
Sheamus?
Yep. Sheamus won that.
That
That's
has to be one of the fastest ones.
That is the shortest. Yep.
Wait, is it specifically at WrestleMania?
Yes.
Um,
I'm pretty sure that Earthquake versus Atom Bomb was pretty fucking short too. And Earthquake won that match with, I don't fucking understand why, but he did.
There was another one from even further back before that, and I can't think of it because I know something about this has come up. I've heard about this before, and I just can't think of it.
Didn't Joe squash the shit out of Rey Mysterio at one?
That did happen the one year.
It was 35, but I don't think it was super short. I think it was still like, fuck. Oh, you know what? It may have been sub 3 minutes.
Oh wait, wasn't The Rock and Eric Rowan?
Was that officially a match?
Yeah, the ref counted. And
yeah, you're right. You're right. So then The Rock, Eric Rowan would be up there, and The Rock obviously won that match.
I was gonna say obviously Eric Rowan came out on top. God love him. No,
that was the match?
It was.
Yeah,
I think it's officially listed on Wikipedia.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's officially listed on Wikipedia last time I saw it. Hogan Yokozuna is another very, very fast one.
Yeah, that.
I'm thinking that lasted at least a minute or so. I think these are probably all within seconds.
Oh yeah, because Daniel Bryan Sheamus was 18 seconds because they made that a big fuss. They made that a big fuss.
And the bell for Hogan and Yokozuna didn't ring until after Fuji hit Yoko in the eyes with the salt. Because otherwise it would have been a disqualification.
The two that we're saying right now we have is Rock Eric Rowan and Sheamus Daniel Bryan. We're saying those are two of the absolute certains.
Right. And Sheamus won. That was WrestleMania 28.
It doesn't matter which one it was, but we know it happened, yeah.
Flexing, and 32 was Rock Rowan. Yeah, the third one is going to come down to how long. I know for a fact that Hogan and Yoko was shorter than Earthquake versus Atom Bomb. I don't want to say I know for a fact.
Yeah,
I'm fairly fucking
it was probably seconds. It was probably within the seconds. Now that you mention Hogan and or the ref not ringing the bell until Yoko
maybe a minute and a half, and like I scratched my head thinking of anything shorter than a minute and a half. I want to say that the Atom Bomb Earthquake match was like 2 minutes or so.
There's one that we're missing that's also in the time frame of the ones that we're talking about. You know what I mean?
More modern, you mean?
What about the WrestleMania 4 tournament? I feel like one of those went off fairly quick.
Yeah, but I don't think it was.
Not.
I don't think we're talking
Seconds
like
quick.
Backlund Diesel times here. Like
Right,
I know that's
seconds
not at
quick,
Mania.
yeah.
Like we're talking within, because the Rock Eric Rowan one was like all
20, 25, 30, something like that.
Not even.
Probably like 3 or 4 seconds.
But it had to be at
ding,
least
ding, ding, rock bottom over.
Like. And
So,
Sheamus Daniel Bryan was
seconds.
18, so we need one that's kind of.
I think that Hogan and Andre probably is the shortest beyond that, because we're talking maybe 90 seconds. And I am having a real tough time thinking of anything sub 90 seconds.
Wasn't there whenever ECW was still a thing, wasn't there a
Yes.
title match that was real short for the ECW belt, and it felt really weird.
Chavo and Kane.
It felt really weird.
Yep, it was Kane and Chavo.
Uh-huh.
Because I remember at that time, whenever we would like go back and watch that stuff, either on previous Mania weekends or when I saw, it didn't behoove the ECW belt to have that. It was like shitting on the lineage.
That was like 23, I think, and like I've kind of abandoned my watch through right about like I got to WrestleMania 21, and I'm like, okay, I've seen the good ones. I'm good. Like so, threw the baby out with the bathwater, son of a bitch. Fuck yeah, I forgot all about the Chavo Kane match, but yeah, that's oh man,
that's
is that
pretty
quicker than
short.
Hogan Yoko?
That one, Poot's right. That one is shorter than Brian Sheamus.
Yep, that one.
Okay, so
well,
let's
wait a
go.
minute. Hold on. When Brian and Sheamus had a match, I thought that like the big deal was that was the quickest match in WrestleMania history.
At that time, right? Or was that after ECW?
It was.
That was definitely after ECW.
I think that would have been WrestleMania 23, maybe 24. Was the ECW title match.
Well,
and
okay, so here's the thing: the ECW title match before Bryan and them could have been the shortest one in history. This one could have etched it out, but it's not. It's not by much. I don't think.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Poot here because last time I didn't go with Poot, and it was an ECW-esque question. It burned us.
And that's the thing is I was sitting here and I'm going, it's not one of those older matches because they're longer, because we're talking fractions of a second. And honestly,
and the Hogan Yoko thing, there was a lot of faffery in
there
it,
was
so
a
it
whole
probably
mess
went
of
a good
faffery.
90 seconds.
Okay, so let's say we're gonna go with Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. Sheamus winning that. Rock, Eric Rowan, Rock winning that, and Chavo Kane, who won that one. Kane,
Oh,
I'm
Kane.
assuming.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kane won that one.
well, you
Yeah.
think Chavo, no offense to Chavo, but you think Chavo's going to squash Kane? Give me a break.
Chavito Heat. All right, we're going with that. I feel good about that.
I'm good.
Lock it in.
Lock it. This should be in Beef's wheelhouse. You're not wrong. And if Bob Gray is listening, put on your stupid $2 anonymous Sting mask in the trash and go back to beating up your anime DVDs. Jesus.
Wow.
The bastard's going hard. At number 3, we have Shane
Red
versus
herring.
Daniel Bryan, 18 seconds, Sheamus winner. Number 2, Kane versus Chavo. Good call, Poot. Kane winner, 11 seconds. Number 1, The Rock versus Eric Rowan, 6 seconds, The Rock being the winner. Oh, boy, does this feel good.
Yeah, it does.
Boy, does
Count
this feel good to get a win over the Maniac.
It's like an
Maniac.
old, comfortable pair of jeans.
The
Yep.
bastard, Pat. You brought a good question, but you forgot what I said like 3 weeks ago about not bringing WrestleMania to this wheelhouse because we'll just knock that shit out of our net.
What?
Like hockey.
Oh,
like
hockey.
Getting it out of
Okay.
our neck.
I went basketball.
So you, sir, good day. You get nothing.
Oh.
Oh, I got a little chubby on that one. And on that note of continuing,
Hashtag wet for beef.
God.
Oh God, I almost threw up in my mouth.
Yeah. I think of
Now, on that note of us having our what now, third consecutive? Second. Second. All right, number 2. We're on
Number
our
2.
way, gentlemen, to becoming champs yet again.
Frig Off Ransom the sponsor. Go Frig Off Ransom.
I wasn't even to the sponsors yet, but that's perfect. Frig Off, man, he is. You
Wow,
really, man, Banner's really here. So Frig Off Ransom is a sponsor. Go subscribe to his channel and watch his videos. He's hilarious. And watch out for the trucker Dave. He'll get you. Oh, he'll get you. And thank you very much to Sean Tischler and his work with IWC in Clearfield. We're excited for more independent wrestling. And of course, best for last, our very own Tiger
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom and his page Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook, and join Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. Subscribe to him on YouTube at Casual Gaming Dad and on Twitch at Casual Gaming Dad 84. And make sure you also like and give him all the stars on his streams on Facebook. He plays a lot of awesome games, and it's very, very entertaining. We play some Among Us on Tuesday nights, and that's always a good time herding all those cats. Thank you for herding all of us cats, Dad.
I do my best.
And make sure you like the P3 podcast over on YouTube. Make sure to find us wherever you get your podcast from, whether it's Spotify, whether it's iTunes, anywhere you can get the audio version of this. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search for Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. It's that simple. For myself, the Barbarian, Poot the Bard, Ransom the Madman, and his channel Frigoff Ransom, Beef the Legend, and the Ransom, you do it. You're better at that.
The best damn cruiserweight champ who doesn't want to defend outside the podcast there ever was, Tiger Bomb Tom.
Have a great night, ladies and
Suck a
gentlemen.
dick, Bob Gray.
Dave made the episode. Yeah!